In today's video, I'm going to walk you through how I run strategy workshops, which are high-level meetings where top management comes together to tackle big-picture strategic issues. I'll be sharing insights from my time at McKinsey, where I collaborated closely with a seasoned partner from New York, as well as my own experience as an independent strategy consultant across various industries, from media to e-commerce. I'm Viktor Ogulenko, and you're watching FLES. Let's dive in. Strategy workshops are meetings where a top management team comes together to tackle the big questions facing the company or a particular division. These could range from defining the company's mission, vision, and strategy to addressing tactical issues like launching a new product or preventing employee burnout. So, how do you organize these meetings to make the most of everyone's time and achieve tangible results? I identify 6 key steps. First, stating the problem. Second, collecting the data. Third, forming discussion topics. Fourth, conducting workshops. Fifth, creating a list of initiatives. And sixth, setting up steering committees. Now let's dive into each step. The first step is to articulate the problem and the approach to solving it. In strategy workshops, the essence of the approach is always the same. It's team discussions with top management. But it's crucial to define our specific objective, the specific issues to be discussed, how we set up the context, and how we prepare analytical data for the discussion. To do this, I either call or meet the client and probe into the problem. I explore its origins, why it hasn't been solved yet, what aspects of the problem they'd like to work through, and possibly specific questions they want to discuss. Based on this discussion, I prepare a tree of questions and sub-questions that need to be answered to resolve the issue. In terms of problem statement and issue trees, this structuring stage is very similar to other strategy consulting projects. What sets strategy workshops apart is the increased focus on communication specifically with the top management team. The result of this structuring stage might look something like this. Have a look. There are ready-made frameworks like Play to Win, which I'll talk about in the next video, but more often, issue trees are created ad hoc to address the client's particular problem. The second stage is gathering information for the strategy workshops. Often, the strategic information already exists in the minds of top management, so I prepare questions for in-depth interviews with them. These questions essentially further detail the problem structure in a format conducive to discussion. It takes 1 to 2 weeks to conduct one-on-one deep interviews with the top management team. Here, it's crucial to engage the participants and let them express their thoughts. There's a high probability that these discussions will reveal new aspects of the problem that weren't apparent at the start. I take detailed notes on my computer during the conversations to refer back to when analyzing the interviews. Taking notes is also useful for staying focused on the conversation. But if typing isn't an option for you, transcription software can be very effective. Sometimes data collection goes beyond interviews. Then I request necessary data from the company or gather it from the internet and analyze it, building qualitative and quantitative financial models, comparing products and competitors, describing processes, and so on. The third step involves synthesizing key ideas from the interviews and data and forming discussion topics for the strategy workshops. I analyze all the notes from the in-depth interviews, insights from the data, and then create a storyline, the so-called dot-dash storyline, with the main themes and sub-themes for our strategy workshops. In the storyline, I reflect both the issue tree formulated in step 1 and the new knowledge acquired in step 2. A storyline is a sequence of topics and questions that we'll discuss during the workshops and that require certain actions, like agreed upon work principles, decisions, and next steps. These can include formulating the team's mission or specific initiatives to solve particular problems. I often illustrate the storyline with charts, tables, and infographics to set the context for the discussions. However, if illustrations don't add value to certain topics, I save time by omitting them. The fourth step is the actual strategy workshops with the top management team. At the start of each session, I set the agenda and goals for the session, Then pose the questions defined previously and guide the discussion. There are two approaches to the discussion. First, each participant speaks in turn and I write down key thoughts on an online whiteboard. And second, everyone writes their thoughts down on their own on the board within a set time, after which we discuss the results. The second approach is effective when the goal is to generate a multitude of ideas, while the first is better for understanding participants' attitudes towards a specific, single, and a very important idea. Complex issues with conflicting viewpoints require more time, whereas simpler issues can be discussed in like 5 to 10 minutes. For some questions where 100% agreement is not crucial, we only draw out a high-level stance that everyone broadly agrees with. Typically, in a 2-hour session, we'll manage to discuss and come to decisions on 3 to 5 issues. At the end of each session, I show the team our conclusions for each issue discussed, and we rephrase these into concrete specific actions, the next steps. These conclusions later transform into initiatives. The fifth step is to create a list of initiatives based on the conclusions from the workshops. I compile a list of all the conclusions from the previous sessions in Google Spreadsheets and present it to the team at our next session. Participants determine priorities, deadlines, and responsibilities. The team also makes sure there are no redundant initiatives in the list. The assigned individuals then take the initiatives and hit the ground running. The sixth step involves discussing the status of the implementation of the initiatives. To do this, we set up extra sessions every 1 or 2 months, the so-called steering committees. The goal of these committees is to understand two things. First, why some initiatives are stalling, and second, whether the initiatives are still relevant. Typically, we run these committees for about 2 to 3 months until the implementation of the initiatives becomes a routine process. After this, strategy workshops often become unnecessary. The next step now is to identify new problems, and thus we return to step 1 and a new cycle begins. These were the high-level ideas on how I conduct strategy workshops. Unfortunately, I couldn't include lots of details in this video as it would have become too lengthy. However, I'm more than happy to share these ideas on LinkedIn. Follow me there for more. In the next video, I'll discuss a framework for formulating a mission, a vision, and the first draft of a strategy. And by the way, if your team needs help with strategy workshops, get in touch with me at victor@flas.pro. I'll be happy to chat with you. Thanks everyone for watching and see you next time. Cheers!